G'day, welcome to Todd's Kitchen. If you haven't tried pulled pork before, you really are missing out. You can use it on so many dishes, or you can even stick it on some bread or a bun and have some sliders. It's very simple to make, and I'll show you how to make it in the oven or on the barbecue. So join me today to make my version of pulled pork. Now I've got a pork shoulder here. Now you can also use a pork butt or a pork neck. Now when I brought this, it still had the skin on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully cut that skin away. But what you want to do is try and leave as much fat on as you can, because it really does add to the flavour. Any excess fat left after it's cooked you can easily remove, but you still want some on there to seep into the meat and give it that lovely flavour. Now I'm going to use some chicken or pork rub. Any rub will do, it's really up to your personal preference or taste. So you want to give it a generous sprinkle and just cover both sides of your pork. Just rub it in a little bit, just massage it into your fat and meat. Now I'm going to be cooking this on the barbecue, and you want to cook it on an indirect heat. So make sure it's not directly over any flame or coals. Now you can do this one in the oven if you like, but I prefer to do it on the barbecue simply because it just gives it a much better taste. And this being a wood-fired barbecue, it's even better. But again, you can do it in the oven if you don't have a good barbecue. So place it directly on your barbecue, on an indirect heat of course, and we want to make sure it's fat side up, just to help those lovely juices go through the meat. So we're going to cook it like this for an initial 3 hours. I've got some apple juice here that I've just put into a clean spray bottle, and after the first hour we're going to spray it down each hour after that until you get to the final 3 hours. And I also have it set for 225 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also 110 degrees Celsius. So all we have to do now is just simply cook it away for the first 3 hours, and don't forget to give it a good spray once an hour, every hour for the first 3 hours. Okay, so it's been 3 hours, so I'm just going to give it a final baste of our apple juice. And what I'm going to do now is, I have an aluminium tray here, just a disposable one. Just going to transfer that to our tray. And basically we're going to cook this for another 5 to 6 hours at 220 degrees Fahrenheit or 110 degrees Celsius. Because the only way to get a good pulled pork recipe is to slow cook it. So always use an internal probe, that's the best way to know when it's 100% done. Just stick it into the thickest part of the meat, and when it reaches 190 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also about 90 degrees Celsius, it's done. Now I've just taken our pork off the grill, and I can tell you, it smells delicious. Now yours mightn't be as dark as mine if you did it in the oven, but I did mine on a grill smoker, which because it adds a little bit of flavour to it, it also adds a bit of a dark colour to the outside. So if it comes out lighter, that's fine as long as you get it to the right temperature. So what we have to do is just start by removing the layer of fat on top that you no longer need. Now once you've done that, it's called pulled pork for a reason, because we're just simply going to pull it apart. And for that I'm just going to use a couple of forks just to pull it apart like so. Now I've chosen to leave the extra little bit of juices in there. You want to mix that in with the pork because trust me, it adds a lovely flavour to it. And there we have it, and it smells delicious, and that's how easy it is to make pulled pork. Now I deliberately haven't added any sauce to this because this pulled pork can be used in so many recipes. For example, you want to put it on some slider burgers, just add some barbecue sauce. But I've also got some pulled pork recipes coming up that we can use this in, so make sure you keep an eye out for those. But it's also good by itself with vegetables. And also the reason why we didn't use the pan for the first 3 hours, because by having the air underneath it just helps seal the entire roast, just to keep those lovely juices in. So if you're going to do it in the oven, for the first 3 hours just have a pan underneath but on the shelf below. But no matter whether you do it in a barbecue or an oven, either way this pulled pork's going to taste simply delish. Now it's always best to have it fresh straight out of the oven, but if you want to store it, it'll easily store in the fridge for a couple of days in a sealed container, or for a few months frozen. So thank you for watching this episode of Todd's Kitchen. As always, I'll leave a list of ingredients down below, as well as links to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Home Handy Hints channel. And please do me a massive favour by giving this video a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for another delicious recipe.